Today, we are taking further decisive action by declaring a state of emergency in the province. This will be valid for 30 days, and prior to the end of that 30 days, of course, we will evaluate to see if there's a need to continue. This puts us on an emergency footing and gives us a readiness that we need in these uncertain times. Understand that this is a temporary measure. Understand that we do not enter into this lightly, but this is part of our need to respond to ensure that we can continue to assist Manitobans in doing our part to protect the well-being of all of us here and all Canadians and global citizens. We respect the rights and freedoms of our citizens. We have stood above throughout our history in protecting the rights and freedoms of others. Recently, of course, we have stood out and up on behalf of the rights of people who we feel have their rights threatened in another Canadian province by legislation that's been put forward there. And so we respect rights. However, we must continue to use every tool we have in our possible availability to flatten the curve here and to do our part to protect all Manitobans. The measures that we're taking today will enshrine, quite frankly, what has already been happening in Manitoba. We have not had reports of people violating the advice that Dr. Roussan and others have been giving. And so I want to say clearly that my promise and our government's promise to Manitobans is that these measures will end as soon as possible and will only be used if absolutely required. These measures, provided under the Emergency Measures Act, will allow us to react more quickly on a broad range of supportive actions that we can take to reduce the spread of COVID-19. We do not intend to implement the full intent of the Act in its initial application, but we need to make sure that we have measures in place to allow us to take responsive actions to protect the health and well-being of all Manitobans. We're hoping for the best, in other words, but we're preparing for something less than that as a possibility. We make this declaration today to ensure that the 50-person gathering limit is respected, as it has been, by all Manitobans. Social distancing is critical to flattening the curve, but it does not mean that we should be cutting ourselves off from the support systems around us. In other words, social distancing does not mean social isolation. Let's be very clear here. We're in this together. We need one another. Pick up the phone and call a friend, a family member, a neighbor. They might need assistance from you. They might just need to hear your voice. This is a time to support each other, to support our friends, our families, our communities. Pick up groceries, shovel walkways, donate blood. The response to that request has been impressive, and we ask Manitobans to continue to respond by donating blood. Also volunteering, something we're proud of here in Manitoba that we do lead the country in doing. Looking after the children of those who continue to work on the front lines. This situation is changing rapidly. Enacting a state of emergency is one way to give us further ability to be nimble and to support Manitobans, but there are many other ways, and I ask Manitobans to think of ways they can assist. We have a long history of dealing with challenges in our province, whether it's blizzards in the winter or floods in the spring or drought in the summer. We've always risen to the challenge of stepping up and helping each other out. And our province is strong and it is resilient because of these things. We've taken steps over our time as Manitoba's government to better manage the affairs of our province and to be more resilient and to be more ready for situations such as this, situations that are difficult to predict but that occur in our province. Must be prepared for, and we have done that. Just yesterday, Manitobans will be interested in knowing, senior Canadian economists commented on the resiliency of Manitoba and said that because of responsible and prudent fiscal management, Manitoba is one of the leading provinces best positioned to deal with the social and economic consequences of COVID-19. And that should give Manitobans a greater sense of confidence and assurance going forward that we are going to be the home of hope not only for the past 150 years, but going forward as well. I know that we're traversing some difficult and uncertain times, I want every Manitoban, and our government, my colleagues want every Manitoban to know how proud we are of Manitobans for stepping up, for working together, for helping their neighbors, and for taking every precaution and step necessary to help themselves and one another overcome these times together.